Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday's Emotional Awareness discussion. I usually say weekly, but I'm really sorry to everybody that I've made you wait 5 weeks without a show. I did have a couple of cancellations a while back, and on the 7th of September, I did a half hour on my own where I did a website and book update, and I did say I needed to take some time off to deal with personal issues. Now, one of those, I do have some good news if you haven't already seen it on my feed. One of those was that I was due to babysit because my son and his fiance were expecting another baby. So I was due to babysit my granddaughter as it was, but I didn't expect that babysitting to have to go on for 10 days. It was a very difficult and challenging time for them, but mum and baby are home doing well, and she is 3.5 weeks old now. And so I've been absolutely delighted to have some cuddles with my new granddaughter. So that's my good news from since 5 weeks ago when I was last on. Tonight, it's great to see some viewers coming in so quickly. It's nice to know you've missed me. Thank you for being here. And tonight, I, as usual, like to bring something that is a bit different that I haven't done before. And I've had people on here from as far as America and Canada, right across to India, from South Africa, all over Europe. But I have never had anybody on the show from my hometown in Fakenham in North Norfolk. So tonight I would like to welcome you to Justin. I've just gone suddenly blank. Justin Leo. You've got Jay Wakefield on there. Is Justin Leo your username on Facebook separately?
That is the social media name I go by, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so I got a bit confused there because you got Wakefield on the screen. Yeah, so Justin is here this evening to talk about his journeys by push bike, and I'm going to let him tell you more about this in a minute. But I saw Justin on the local community group in Facebook and was absolutely wowed by what he was doing on a bike journey, and I contacted him without having any idea about how much further that bike journey has taken him this summer and some of the challenges he's endured. So thank you so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. That's fine, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, Kane. Good evening to you both. Congratulations on your grandchild. Oh, thank you, Yvette. Yvette is my other local viewer, bless her. She watches in from Fakenham every week. So, and then we have other people who will be watching from as far as America, etc. So, no, thank you for joining in. And yes, so I reached out to you because I saw that you were doing a bike ride from Fakenham.
Yeah.
And it was for charity. And normally people do like a 50, 100-mile bike ride for charity. But you went a little bit further, didn't you? So would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and your bike and what, oh, bless you, Yvette's put she missed me. Thank you. Missed you too. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your bike journeys, what your affinity is with the bike and what inspired you to do 3 charity journeys on your bike. So yeah, welcome. Thank
you. Well, I wanted to just raise some more awareness. Obviously, it's a difficult situation with everything going on with the pandemic at the moment. It leaves everyone in a situation where they don't feel like they can actually go out and enjoy life. And I wanted to put a stick in the wood sort of situation and show people that you can actually go out and still enjoy yourself. You can still do stuff. You can better yourself. Doesn't matter what situation you're in. It doesn't matter how low you are. You can build yourself back up. Yeah. And that's what I've tried to do and tried to show by doing the journeys that I've done.
Oh, fantastic. And yeah, that's something I talk about a lot on here about being low and like rock bottom. And you're probably not aware of it, but this little diagram up here above my head on screen is my diagram of the emotional cycle. With happy is all the yellow, high frequency at the top, and black is the depression, pits, rock bottom. And then you've got like sadness and anger, which are your roots between depression and happiness, up or down. So yeah, so if anybody's feeling like really in that rock bottom moment, like you said, that's not the end of the world. It's just the bottom of this particular cycle, actually. Not that cycle is meant to be a pun for tonight. But yeah, it's just the bottom of that particular cycle of emotions. So it is about finding that way back up. So I gather, obviously, for you, you have your own challenges as well, personally. But I take it the bike has been like a big saviour in that journey for you, in that side of life. So tell us a bit more about the bike, first of all. What got you into BMX biking, and more about what you've achieved with that?
Well, I've been riding bikes for 18, 19 years, so I can't really say that there was a reason why I got into it. It's just it was something to do at the time, I suppose. It took me away from having to think about other things. When you're riding, you're in the moment and you're not thinking about everything else that's going on. I suppose that's probably the reason why I picked it up. But after all of these years, it's only the last 6 years that I've paid attention to BMX specifically, just to try and forward myself with that. Obviously, there's only so far you can forward yourself with doing tricks and going to skate parks and visiting towns and villages and things. And well, there is more that I could do. I myself have mental health issues, and I have family and friends that do. And I did want to do more, and there is more that people can do, and I wanted to take that chance, and that led me to go and do these challenges. I saw an advert on Facebook that was a 100-mile challenge in May for prostate cancer, and I didn't really see that as a challenge. I saw that as something that I could do really easily, and I thought, how could I better that? How could I make it? How could I make it better and raise more money? So I planned a lengthier trip, all the way around the border of East Anglia, basically.
Oh, wow.
And ended up doing 301 miles for prostate cancer to raise money for it. So it's something so small that can bring you up, and like people don't realize that they have the potential in them to go and do that.
Wow.
Sometimes you just need to just take that chance and go and do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you did 301 miles. How long did that take you?
Did 17 days. I've got it's improved quite a lot over the trips. So it's 17 days for the first one for 300 miles. And then the second one was Norfolk to Plymouth, which took 15 days. So sped that up quite a lot. And then my last one, which was the Norfolk to Snowdonia, which all in all, it was about 11 days it took me to get all the way up to there. So I didn't do too bad on it. I stuck to my targets and did with the mileage that I needed to do every day.
And somebody said, was the 301 miles on your BMX? Yes, I think the total Justin done is 1,015 miles, and yes, all of that on your BMX, I believe.
That is indeed, yeah. They've all been done on BMX. So I understand that people that can go out there and grab a road racing bike and go and do some charity events, and I get that, and I get that you can do that. I just wanted to push it that little bit further and see how far I could push it to.
BMX wheels are not quite as large, are they? So it's a lot of extra work involved.
Yeah, you've got a lot of work involved, and with more work involved, the more you have to focus more on your mind rather than your body, and that kind of takes over. You have to get into a rhythm of looking after your mind and thinking positively and driving yourself forward. Otherwise, your body starts to shut down and you can't actually physically continue. So it's a good learning curve to be able to go and do them things.
Yeah, thank you. Someone's put, that's absolutely amazing. Well done. You should be so proud of yourself. And yeah, absolutely. And that's also put, well done on your achievement. Thank you for that. Yeah, that is incredible. And I can't, like you said, to look after your mind and your body the whole time through those journeys. Were you literally 100% alone, or did you have like a buddy in a car or something? How did you travel in terms of
For my
support for
first
you on
one,
that journey?
well, for my first one, because obviously there was not much plan going on for the first one. I was just very spare at the moment, get everything together and get on with it, sort of thing. Um, I saw a couple of people on the way and made a couple of new friends. But people were very sociable, very helpful, and obviously the second they knew what I was doing, they were very welcoming and wanted to help me charge my things and point me in the right direction, sort of things. So it was very rewarding in a way, because it's hard when you've got mental health issues to be able to approach people and to go to certain places. So for me, in a way, it was helping me as well as helping everyone else. It's helping me to approach people and talk to people and get to know new people and things. But the first one and the second one were done with friends and stops. I'd stop at a friend's and then I'd carry on, and then I'd camp for 3 or 4 nights, and then I'd see a friend and then carry on, sort of thing. But the last one to Snowdonia, that was 12 days completely isolated. That's by myself for the 12 days I was out there.
Yeah. So to highlight this here, you're also saying you camped. So you not just you biking, you had all your gear with you as well.
Yeah. Usually I have about 60 kilo on my back.
Oh my word.
And then I've got my bike, and then my tent, which is usually about 80 to 90 kilo on the front of my bike.
On a BMX, I can't even imagine what that looked like. Could you see the bike?
Yeah, I could see the bike.
Okay. I guess that almost sounds like the bike has disappeared under all this equipment. So all of that, oh my goodness, it's hard to imagine where you'd even put all that on a BMX.
Well, it's a lot of strain on the muscles to be able to take that weight, but in a way it was kind of an advantage in a way, because when I'd take the time to actually slow myself down to be able to get up to the hills, to pace myself to be able to get up there, you get up to the top, and the actual weight from everything drags you down. So it feels like an achievement every time you've got up to a mountain. You've taken 45 minutes to climb that road, and then you got to that top, and the amount of weight and everything you've got on you, you sit down and you can just coaster down for 3-4 miles at 40 mile an hour on a BMX. It's you get your breaks in between, so you get your
definitely a weight advantage downhill, but that bit's in over too quickly, isn't it, for the next uphill? But someone's put any pictures of you loaded. Did you get pictures of the bike in that state?
I think I did quite a few times. I think I've got quite a few online. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
It's not really a lot. Most of it's on my back, to be fair. So it's only the tent that goes on the front of my bike, tent and the pump.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff is actually on my back, so that's usually what takes most of the weight.
Yeah.
All of the food and drink, clothes, and charging packs, cameras, leads, everything.
I think what I might be able to do is find your profile and put a link to it, and anybody can come to your profile and then find the pictures there, can't they? Of all of your journeys. That's probably the best way. I'll do it while we're speaking, because otherwise I'll probably forget later the way I've been at the moment.
Okay, that's fine.
But no, that's amazing. So all that extra weight, I just can't even get over that, because anybody who knows me and bikes will know that I just don't do bikes. I'm not a two-wheel person, but I envy anybody who is. So it took me all my courage to actually get on the back of a motorbike in my late 40s, and then actually loved it. But I'm not very good on the front of a bike or a push bike. And it's like every time I get on a bike, something happens to make me come off the bike with a very non-graceful dismount that usually ends up not on my feet. On one occasion, I got on the bike and my shoelaces got caught around the cog or the pedal and strapped my foot down as I started to cycle. Another occasion, when I was with my ex, he went ahead of me and then did an emergency stop, but as at the last minute turned the bike sideways. So I had nowhere to go except to the side. And as I put my foot down, oh, this was hilarious. I put my foot down, but sprained my ankle over on the edge of the road.
Yeah,
But it
I've
went to
done
get my
that.
balance, but there was a post in the way. So I tripped over the post, landed on the edge of a little footbridge and landed in the bottom of a duck. All because he went, oh, look, there's some baby rabbits, and then swung across the road. And I end up the dike the other side. And so the story goes on. But every time I get on a bike, it's usually very ungraceful. So to do over 1,000 miles is absolutely amazing. So you say, just quickly running back through the charities, prostate cancer. Yeah, absolutely. Cancer in general anyway, but prostate cancer, I've known so many people suffer with that and struggle with that. Pass away with it, recover from it. I know my own father's been through it. Known other people go through it. It's just, like you said, so much of it these days. So well done for raising funds for that. And your second journey to Dartmouth, you say raising money for autism. Again, anybody who watches my show regularly will know. Obviously, with my son, when I wrote the book about emotional awareness, the book Brain Unchained, a lot of the struggles my son had with mental health was on the back of being on the autistic spectrum as well, with Asperger's. So very familiar with that, and I absolutely an advocate of anything that supports autism awareness. So well done for that. And obviously, as we're saying, both of those, if you've had cancer, if you've got autism, or autistic spectrum, or any other things, and I do believe you mentioned earlier about ADHD as well. I know you didn't mention it tonight, but you mentioned it to me earlier. ADHD as well, but they all come with mental health issues. And then you can have mental health issues without any of them. So raising money for Mind, again, just another absolutely great cause. So for anybody who's not local, Mind is a charity in the UK, which is, I don't know whether it's anywhere else in the country, but I know it's quite prevalent in Norfolk where we are. And they do a lot to support people through mental health issues. So yeah, again, I know they do a lot of really, really great work. So well done. So overall, am I right in saying you raised, was it just under £1,000 or 900 and something?
925. I've done on 1,015 miles.
Wow, £925. That's close to £1 a mile, and that is absolutely phenomenal.
That was what I was aiming for, £1 a mile. It seemed fair enough to me that I didn't want to put massive targets up there, and it's a pandemic and people having rough times, and I understand that. I didn't want to go breaking the banks of people. I just wanted people to come together and be able to support something that meant a lot to me and meant a lot to people that are around me, and that's what happened. And it's gone.
Are you still raising towards those targets, or has that ended now?
I believe my last page is still open, but obviously with 3 new events coming up, that'll still be carrying on towards the targets.
3 new ones?
Yeah.
You've got more lined up, like you haven't had enough yet.
No, obviously.
Okay, now you're surprising me. As if I wasn't shocked enough already. Now you're surprising me. You're keeping going. That is phenomenal. I'm going to say, if you've still got any links that are open, I'm more than happy for you to share them in the chat here when we're done. And if anybody wants to put anything towards that target and help Justin to reach that, at least £1 a mile, 1,015 miles has got to be worth £1 a mile. So I'm more than happy for you to share that in here, and hopefully we'll keep that going and
thank you.
See if we can get you there on that target, and certainly get you ahead for the next 3 if you do. So where are you planning to go next?
Well, I've got an adventure back to Wales to go and climb up to the summit, to go and summit. So I'm going to summit up and down, obviously with Mind, doing it for Mind, raising money. And then there's obviously other things that I'm going to be doing in Wales for rock climbing and river rapids, and there's so much stuff I'm going to be doing there, but I'm going to be doing it over a weekend, and I'm going to see how much money I can raise, doing as much activities as I can. So that'll be one of the events that I'm going to be doing. And then Loch Ness is my next adventure. That's going to be a biking adventure of 600 miles. So
biggie.
That's gonna be a big one. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but
yeah, definitely. That's a struggle driving in a car. It's a long way. And if I did it a couple of years back in a camper van, that was hard work, just driving for a day. But I can't even contemplate cycling that far, let alone with all that weight on. So
no.
sounds like you need a buddy car with you so you can just cycle for that one. Yeah,
I'll get there eventually. Love it. Every day at a time. You have to take one day at a time when you do things like this. When there's people plan their futures, and they always think too far ahead, and you do literally just have to take it one day at a time, because every week your future changes, and you don't really realize it until you step back and you slow down and you look at it.
Absolutely. And in between that, I mean, I couldn't believe you've done those 3 bike rides. And I've got to tell you, because last week we'd rescheduled Tuesday, so again, apology, we moved it on to this week. So it was a last minute decision to reschedule again. And then Wednesday, I sat here at my dining table. So yes, I've moved rooms at the moment because I need to move my computer back out of the little room where it's getting a bit chilly now for the winter, and I can't afford to take both rooms because of the day rate, night rate thing. So anyway, I'm sitting here at my dining table, and I looked out my window, and there was Justin doing some stunts on the wall over the road, up and down the road. Literally up and off walls and jumping and spinning, and you were doing all the stunt moves. Do you get involved in competitions at all with that?
No, I have wanted to, but I gather it's more to do with my social anxiety, that I don't really involve myself too much with people that ride. I have done in the past, in the 6 years that I've been filming and doing BMX. I've involved myself with a lot of people in skate parks and towns and villages, and there's some nice people and there's not some nice people, and you've got to pick who's decent from that and who you can drive yourself forward, because not everybody has the same goals as what I have. You know, so you got to pick carefully.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of YouTube content from your sort of stunts and things? Because when I saw you had a little tripod and your 2 boost bars on the side of the pavement ready. I was quite pleased. It was like, see, you're doing all that physical stuff, and you got a little tripod set on, 2 boost bars ready for afterwards. And I thought I would have wanted at least 3 after that, because that looked really tough. But yeah,
you got to stay prepared. No, I do film obviously my normal content of riding BMX tricks and things that I do besides obviously charity rides, and that's obviously just to keep my mind occupied. And in a way, that was how I came about to do the adventures, was if I could ride to a skate park in a day, and if I could spend an hour riding to a skate park, which was 15 miles away, and then I could ride there for 3-4 hours, and then I could ride home. That's 30 miles, as well as 3 or 4 hours on a skate park. If I could put that amount of effort into doing that in one day, why couldn't I do that on a trip? And why couldn't I do that for 3, 4, or 12 days? And that's how it got into my mind of being able to do this, and being able to raise some money and awareness for charities.
Oh, it's unbelievable that you've even endeavoured to do any of that. So I'm astounded. So you say about social anxiety, and that's obviously comes as part of the autistic spectrum. And do you feel that that's had a big impact on your life overall?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. The constant not wanting to approach people it's not a nice feeling to have in your head. Consistently waiting for people to approach you rather than you approach them, because you don't know what the reaction is going to be. You don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's quite apt actually saying it, because of the show being about emotional awareness, is most people would think that actually getting on the bike is the bigger of the challenges here. But for you, it might be the other way around. Like getting on the bike is like, yeah, I want to do that, but the social part might feel the bigger challenge emotionally. But
The bigger part for me is walking. To be fair, if it wasn't for a bike, I don't think I'd be able to socially be around. When I'm on a bike, I don't feel the anxiety that I feel when I walk. When I walk around, I do feel anxious, and that does determine how my days go and how I feel during them days and how my weeks go. But on a bike, that is different. And when you're on a bike every day doing these adventures, it changes your whole mindset. You're not doing it for a couple of hours when you're at home. You're doing it every day, and it's consistent. It changes your complete mindset and life for the better.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting to say, because I suppose it's like having something to sort of almost take your mind off of that anxiety, because you've got to focus.
Exactly, yeah.
I think, I'm trying to think, the nearest way I can have that is I had anxiety about just being on a bike, so I'm the way around. I talk to anybody, not a problem normally, but getting on a bike was anxious for me. So certainly doing 60, 70, 80 mile an hour down the autobahns in journey, and going around all the hairpin bends over the Alps, that was when I would feel anxiety. And as much as I had the anxiety on the bike, it was the having to focus my mind on being that pillion, because I knew that every move the rider makes, I've got to make, and any move I make incorrectly could affect the ride. And it was such accurate precision riding, 125 miles of hairpin bends. It's probably the motorbike equivalent of one of your days. But it was having to, like, every time I feel that anxiety building up, was like, no, got to focus. And it was the focus actually kind of got me through it, which counterintuitive saying it was on the bike. But yeah, I certainly understand the sensations of the anxiety. So I said to people 5 weeks ago, I need to take time off to work stuff out for me. And that's not something I've ever really felt very much, social anxiety. But because of the pandemic, and because I hadn't been out much for the last year, and it's all been on Zoom, I'm fine on Zoom, but I've started to feel that social anxiety going out, meeting new people. And it has become, the time of just being at home on my own has started to make me feel differently about going out and meeting people, as well as people know I've got other things that have changed for me in the last year. So yeah, I did have to go and work on my mental health this last month, and it's been difficult, and I am still working on it, but I'm on the up again. I've hit my rock bottom, and like you say, you've got to work it up, but sometimes you have to just sit with it. Sometimes you have to get to that rock bottom and say, okay, let's just sit with it for a bit, see what's happening, and then sort of unpiece all the tangled thoughts and ideas, and then gradually work each of them out separately. Because life's not always just about one problem. There can be a combination of things. So yeah,
the build up to all the big things.
Yeah, or things gone past. So something is anxiety is future, and stress is now, and sadness is what's gone past, sort of thing. Different emotions fit with different timeline. But yeah, no, I definitely understand the importance of supporting anybody with mental health, and certainly I know, with my family, what we've been through. It's what led to me doing what I did, which was completely different to what I'd planned. Nobody leaves school saying, oh, I'm going to become an emotional awareness expert. Life sometimes puts you in places you don't expect.
For the better.
So, yeah, hopefully for the better, yeah. So what I do this for is, I want everybody to know, we do this every week when I don't have a break, because I want to connect people like Justin here, who have inspiring stories to share with people who need inspiration, and to let everybody know that, we're not alone. We do all go through struggles and challenges, And it's about finding your affinity with something to help you find that way forward. And obviously for Justin, that bike has been an absolute godsend for you by the sounds of it. For somebody else, it might be having a dog or a cat. For somebody else, it might be riding horses or something. But it's just finding that thing to get your focus on and a purpose for going forward again. And I know for me, that's the bit I've struggled to find this year, is my affinity with something to move forward. And which is why I had a bit of a setback instead. So yeah, I'm so chuffed to hear everything that you've done and achieved, and still planning. I think I'd be amazed if I even did 1 mile on a bike this year. All of that. So, but no, fantastic. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I can ask you. If there's anything else you want to say, how are we doing? We've only been half an hour yet. So yeah.
Well, no, the only thing I can obviously add to it is that obviously if you are sitting out there and you are feeling like you're stuck indoors and you've got no motivation and no plans, just go out and just do one thing. Just take a walk. Just go out, embrace nature, embrace life a little bit, and just that one step, it could lead to something else. And not everybody will do that. Most people will wake up and they'll repeat the same process every day. They'll sit in and they'll doom and gloom and look at the phone and they'll not think about life. They'll think about everything bad going on and what's not to come. But if you get up and you actually go and get out, it does drive you and compel you to go forward. And you need to carry on. You need to carry on doing that. Like, it is just one step process. You have to take that one step forward to be able to move forward. You can't sit in the same position.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And sometimes to set too many steps in place or to look too far ahead, it can be overwhelming and then almost feel unachievable, and then you achieve nothing because it was too much. So yeah, small steps, baby steps.
Exactly.
But finding something to achieve, even if it's making something rather than going somewhere, or even picking up the phone and having a conversation with one person that day. And believe me, even I know how difficult that can be. Sometimes when you're really, really low, you don't want to pick the phone up and then upset somebody else as well because you're having a bad day. But the right person will listen, even if you text chat them and have a good friend as well. I've had a couple of good friends and people who've been there even just on text chat on days when I don't want to talk. But yeah, so no, just really can't believe how much you've done, over 1,000 miles. So we will get that link in there in a little while for your last charity, which was for Mind, the trip to Snowdonia. And actually, because you came back, the last one, if I remember, you cycled there, but you got the train back. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, I cycled to Snowdonia and then I cycled around the coast all the way down to Liverpool, and then got the train back from Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it was only supposed to be 250 miles. We ended up 314 in the end.
Yeah. So again, I know Liverpool is quite a hike, even on a motorbike, because we did that. I actually have it's going to sound odd. It's my third great grandfather's brother. Let that wash over. But my third great grandfather's brother was a steamship captain in the 1800s, and he used to sail from Liverpool to New York on the old wooden steamboats, originally from Portsmouth. But then he worked for the White Star Line. And so we went over to look for his grave because we wanted to find some information to start putting his story together. I do at some point want to turn his story into a book because he's got an incredible history and it's got lost over time. So we went to find the grave and try and find out more about the family history in connection with this particular gentleman, Benjamin, his name. And he was actually an admiral with the White Star Line, so he became an admiral. And I know when we'd found the grave and we'd gone to a church, because there's a little church up there where there is a stained glass window in his memory, but the church was locked up and we couldn't. It was the one day it was closed the week, and we couldn't get in, so I didn't get to see it. But the journey back, we came back in the dark and it was 4 degrees outside. I didn't know how cold you can get riding a motorbike at 40. I was literally like cold up to here. My arms were cold to here. And I was like, the last little bit of heat was under my armpits. And I was like curled up behind him on that bike. And anybody who knows a bike, on the front, you were shielded behind the windshield on the bike if you're on a motorbike. But the back, the pillion gets all the turbulence from the rider. I was frozen, and it was like every little coil or flow of air, I was trying to redirect it past me and not onto me. And it was like, I was frozen coming back from Liverpool. And that seemed like a long way on a motorbike. So to have gone over there on a BMX with all that weight on there as well, I'm still astounded that you had all that kit with you. Because I'd imagined you'd done it and either sent your gear ahead with a buddy or something, or had a plan. But
no,
yeah.
got all the way. But I ended up having to camp in Liverpool. I ended up camping in the centre of Liverpool.
Oh goodness!
Before I got the train home, that was one of the probably the scariest experiences I've ever had.
I think so.
Yeah, there's a lot of gang-related troubles going on in Liverpool at the moment. So having to camp in a churchyard in the town, it wasn't nice, but
oh goodness,
I'll put yourself through it sometimes to
maybe you picked the one where Benjamin was watching over you.
Well, yeah, I made it home, so I did something.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So if I remember rightly, was it over 40 nights camping you did across the 3 trip?
It's 43 nights.
43 nights. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So what did you do about food? You know, if you're on a BMX, I hadn't even asked if you're on a BMX, you've got all that kit with you, and you just stopped at wherever you've exhausted. How on earth did you manage to feed yourself, or did you just like stock up on the way every day somewhere?
It was every shop I passed, I'd stop at. It was yeah. The first one, it was kind of all right. You know, I was stopping at every town that I went to, and then I went to the second and the third one. It was using a hell of a lot more energy. So it was pretty much every stop that I was stopping at every shop to stock up on food and drink, and it was a repetitive cycle for many hours of the day. Every day.
Oh, I bet. Oh, fantastic! No, well done.
It helps a lot, obviously, because you know, at home in a normal life, in a normal situation, sometimes you do forget about food, mental health issues. Sometimes you do forget to eat and things like that. And out there on a trip and everything, you understand the body needs the food. You need that food and you need that drink. And if you don't get that food and that drink, you can't perform how you need to perform. There's so many ways that doing them trips help me in my mind and how I go about my life. And yeah, I just want other people to be able to do that. You know, I've got quite a lot of messages from all 3 trips from people that have been stuck inside and they haven't been able to go out and enjoy life. And they've seen videos and seen my vlogs and that's inspired them to go and do things. And that's literally all I've wanted from this is just that. It's just to inspire some people to go and do some stuff, because I know how difficult it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's incredible that people can reach out and it does make a difference. It's, you know, making a difference to you and to other lives, as well as through the charities. So that's fantastic all round. Yeah, can I say if it's uncomfortable, I'm quite happy you say no. But I've never really had anybody on the show before who's talked about ADHD, and I wondered if you'd be willing to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
What would you like to know?
Yeah, so tell us, ADHD, obviously I know it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So how does that affect you, you know, or whether even you generic information or about you specifically, but how does that affect you differently from the Asperger's? Just, I mean, as much as I know personally, I just sort of want to talk about it from an awareness point of view.
If anything, it's just a very disorientating feeling of having 1,000 things in your mind but not knowing how to put them into order to get it done. So when you do get something done, it is a monumentous thing that you've done.
Mm.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think I do actually. And I've not said this on camera before. But one of the reasons I have taken some time off the last month is to work through my own mental health issues, my own emotional issues. And one of the things I'm looking at, but there's no guarantees, but is I actually do believe, because things can manifest differently in men than they can in women. And I actually think myself, I have some level of ADHD. And when I started to look up ADHD for women, it looked very different in terms of the set of symptoms and the challenges that we face. And it was like, it just suddenly, like, my whole life started to make sense why I'd struggled with things. Why I've had certain challenges all my life, but I'd never thought of an issue. I'd looked at like 50 different challenges going on and like, well, why can't I cope with this? Why am I struggling with that? And why's my head never stopped? How can people sit there and say, oh, I wasn't thinking of anything? How can you think of nothing? So to me, this is what I'm thinking. The amount of times my husband or one of my kids would be sitting there and you say, what are you thinking about? Oh, nothing. Well, you must be thinking about something. No, I'm thinking about, how does somebody think about nothing? I don't know.
It's a weird one though, because the more that you think about things, the more that you've got in your mind and you're thinking about at that second, the more that you're impelled to say, I'm thinking nothing, if you know what I mean. It's a weird situation to have your brain in, but you can't understand it in your own brain because there's so much going on. So rather than to say what's going on, you say nothing.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense to a degree. But yeah, some people genuinely seem to say, no, I was just chilled out thinking about nothing. And it just seems very strange to me when they can do that and clear their mind. And I have no idea how to clear my mind. I've never been able to do it and sit and think about nothing. My head, like you say, just boom, 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 thoughts all the time. And occasionally I manage to piece things out of that together and achieve something. And like you say, it feels big. But then when you get that gap afterwards where things are not progressing, I go like that. And I almost burn out. Or after having a sort of a spurt like that for a little while, I kind of burn out. But so yeah, I was very sorry, I just popped up here. Karen, Yvette's first of all, she's put, well done on all you've achieved for your charity. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Yvette. That's to Justin. And Karen's put here, but this is why I love this is why I kayak. I have actually put it on my bucket list to go over to America at some point and see Karen, so we can go kayaking together, because that is something I would do. If I fall off a kayak, it's not going to hurt. It might be a bit cold and wet, but it's not going to hurt like a bike. I would love to go kayaking. I haven't done it for a while, and I like the sensation of it. So not that I've ever done it on any expert level, but when I've tried it, I've enjoyed it. So yes, that's on my bucket list. Come over there and see Karen one day and go kayaking. Yeah.
Another way to silence your mind. Just getting out there and doing something. Just a bit of peace in your mind for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that one does sound lovely. So yes, so many different ideas out there for different things people do. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing where your next journeys take you, and especially to Loch Ness. Yeah, that's going to be incredible.
Yeah, so I look forward
to no, I think so. I would just say thank you so much indeed for taking the time to talk to us tonight and share your story. And apologies to anybody if I'm a little bit rusty tonight after a few weeks off. I'm usually full of questions, but I'm trying to be a bit thoughtful tonight and not over bombard you as well, or over diversify it sort of for your benefit. But no, I've enjoyed having the conversation and finding out more about all your challenges and your successes, and it is really, really inspirational. It really is. And let's hope this inspires other people to get out there and do the same, not necessarily on the BMX, but do the same, as in find that something that you have an affinity with and just see how far you go. For
Exactly.
me, I'm going to say for me, I haven't found it. For me, actually, we are doing mine right now. How could I forget? I'm actually doing my challenge right now. And my challenge was to do 1 hour's talk a week, although I have some gaps in there, and I'm sure you had some nights off in your biking. But my challenge was to do originally an hour a night talking about mental health issues for 1 month, 28 days for lockdown 2. And at the end of that, we carried on doing one a week. So it was 52 1 hour live talks. That was the challenge. Because of the challenges we've had with getting speakers the last few weeks or last 5 weeks, plus my challenges personally, I have made the decision that tonight may or may not be the last live one, because I may find that to get speakers, I might have to adapt and do some pre-records. But I do still want to get to the end of the 52-week challenge, whether if it was a choice of doing a live but having no guest, or doing a pre-record, so at least you have something to watch at 7 p.m. on the Tuesday, I think I need to go with the pre-records from here forwards. So I have already pre-recorded next week's show with a guy named Mithilesh Chudka, who is from India, from I think it's Mumbai in India, and he is a personal empowerment coach. We had an incredible discussion about the levels of achievement, and he works with sports people, he works with actresses and singers, probably not ones we know over here, but maybe people he knows more over there in India. But certainly the process through which he talked and the conversation we had was phenomenal, and that will be aired next Tuesday at 7 p.m. and then I'll let you know what happens going forward. But for tonight, I do want to be thoughtful of Justin's time here, and that I think we need to let you rest after all your BMX stuff, and then I'll push you hard tonight. But thank you so much for joining us and having the chat.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And hopefully, if you see me in town, you would not feel so socially anxious that I couldn't at least buy you a cup of coffee sometime. We have a chat off camera.
Much appreciate that. Thank you.
That would be great. And thank you ever so much to everybody for watching in, and also for the replay. If anybody's managed to get this far on replay, well done to you too, because that's also a big challenge to watch 45 or minutes or an hour of this. That's a big challenge, just watching a video this long these days. Being able to sit still long enough to do that, so incredible. So if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. Hit the like button wherever you are. And also in Facebook, again, just thumbs up. Please do share the video as well and help inspire other people. So whether it is somebody who's into bikes or not into bikes, but they're just looking for that inspiration to find their own journey, then please just share this with them and help other people find their way forward in life, and help them to lift them up out of that depression. And hopefully in the future we'll have some more good people to come back and tell me more stories on the show, so that would be great. But thank you ever so much for you tonight, Justin. It's been fantastic. And don't forget, send me that charity link and we will get that in the chat. And follow Justin on Facebook and as well, so you can follow the future journeys, so that I don't have to relay it all back. Go and watch him, go and follow him when he goes to Wales and Loch Ness. So
thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Yep. It's been fantastic. See you all next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.